Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Canto 10, Chapter 17, Text 10 and 11. What's on the board? You read it on the board.
Yes, let me just read the translation of 10.
Seeing how the this translation of text 10. Seeing how the unfortunate fish in the lake had become most unhappy with the death of the leader, Subari uttered the following curse under the impression he was mercifully acting for the benefit of the lake's residents. Purport. In this regard, the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained that when our so-called compassion does not tally with the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it merely causes a disturbance. Because Subari had forbidden cruisers coming to that lake. Arya moved in, made his headquarters there, then spelled doomed for all the lake's wisdom. Text 11, verse we're going to discuss today. Atra praveshya virudo yati matsyam sa kadati sadhya ane vyujeta satyam etat kamyam atra praveshya garudo yadi masan sa-kalatrakāḥ sadyapanu vyujeta satyametad umyam sa-praveshya garudo yadi masan sa-kalatrakāḥ sadyapanu vyujeta satyametad umyam Mataji, ladies. in this lake. Praveshya, entering. Garuda. Yadi, if. Matsyan, the fish. Saha, he. Khadati, eats. Sadhya, immediately. Prane, of his force of life. Viyujeta, will become deprived. Satyam, truthfully. Etat, this. Bravimi, and speaking. Aham, I. If Garuda ever again enters this lake, eats the fish there, he will immediately lose his life. What I'm saying is the truth. Purport by this purport is Prabhupada's purport. The Chaya is explained in this regard because of Saburi Muni's material attachment and affection for a fish. We fail to see the situation from a spiritual viewpoint. The ninth canto of the Bhagavatam describes a fall down for this offense. Because of his false pride, Saburi Muni lost his power of austerity, and with it, his spiritual beauty and happiness. The Guru that came to Yamuna, Saburi Muni thought, although he may be a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I will still curse him and kill him if he disobeys my order. Such an offensive attitude against the exalted Vaishnava, it will certainly destroy one's auspicious position in life. As the ninth canto described, Saburi Muni married many beautiful women and suffered greatly in their association. Because he had once become glorious, taking shelter of the Yamuna River, Vrindavan, he was ultimately delivered. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakya Chakshurmritanena Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manovishta Stapita Mena Bhuta Swayam Rupa Gadamana Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Gunatam Tam Sadevam Sarvaitam Savadhutam Prajna Sainam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Kansanam Basade Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanam Suridevi Namami Harive Vancha Kalpatarvyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Shri reading the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. And in the 10th canto, Prabhupada presents the Lord's transcendental pastime. Prabhupada, when he went to America, the first thing he did after he went there was to get the Krishna book published. Prabhupada explained that he wanted to make sure that all the pastimes are presented in a true form. And when you read about these pastimes of the Lord, you can see these are all transcendental. In Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna said, Janma karma chame. If you look at the Lord's pastimes from a mature angle, you will think, this is just speculation. How is it humanly possible somebody could do an activity of this type? For example, he describes the appearance of Lord Narasimha as half man, half lion. Majority of the people who are not exposed to bhakti, the thing is speculation. The one who takes the bhakti-yoga knows that the Lord is inconceivable. Advaitam achyutam anadi ananda rupam adyam purana purusham durlabham ātma-jaḥ Govinda Mahārāja the Brahma Smita Lord Brahma said Advaita what is important so Achyuta is infallible. Never mention him as that. He can manifest himself in unlimited number of forms. But the genuine incarnation are all explained in modified scriptures. Adya Purana Purusham Navyogamcha. He is the oldest of all. He appears ever beautiful. And further, the Lord Brahma said, if you want to understand the Lord just by studying the scriptures, that's not going to be conceivable. If you prepare the bhakti, then you'll be able to understand. So the Lord is inconceivable. So the 10th canto, you read about these pastimes, and we see that the Lord, even as a young child, performs human activities. So in this chapter, we read the story of Kāliya. Kāliya was a very dangerous snake living in the Yamuna, and his fragrance, his body was so strong, even the birds flying over it would die. And Kāliya was ultimately defeated by the Lord. So we see that in the Lord's pastime, that the Lord performed these pastimes at home with the devotees. Ultimately the Lord is victorious. Here we read about the story, here we read about the story of Kāliya and the mistake committed by the 9th canto. This is very nicely explained. The story of King, the story of Subhari Muni, and Prabhupada in the purport discusses that. Subhari Muni was engaged in performing austerity. He was a very powerful Muni, and he was performing great austerity. And he was discharging austerity by positioning himself right at the bottom of a river. Just like he would have the submarines go underwater. So Subhari Muni was deep underwater, and he was able to meditate. And he was deep underwater, was meditating. There he saw, what did he see? two fishes mating. And when he saw the two fishes mating, he got bewildered. He got cheated. He started thinking that, oh, maybe this is a very enjoyable activity. And so Muni gave up his deep meditation underwater just by meditating on the happiness and sex life. So therefore we read in the scriptures that we should always be engaged positively. The mind can be a friend and an enemy. When is the mind considered to be a friend? When? When is the mind considered to be a friend? When you're thinking about it positively. And when you're thinking about negative thoughts, then the mind is what? The worst enemy. So what was the way when he was He was deep underwater, practicing studies for a very long time. He didn't even care what his body looked like, his long hair and wrinkled cheeks, skinny. But the moment he started thinking about what he saw, what did he see? He saw the two fishes mating. And he began to think, sex life is very enjoyable. And he gave up his meditation, he went straight to the palace of the king. Therefore, his basic advice, until Narayan Smriti, mold your life in such a way that whom knows that mind is positively engaged. The mind will only be positively engaged if you have also practiced the process of devotional service. If you have not practiced the process, don't expect at the moment of death to be able to think about the Lord. So Swami when he went to the king, he came out of his meditation and he had determined how I should get married. So he went straight to the palace of the king. The king saw Subhai Muni to be a very ugly man. Naturally, living underwater and not caring for the body. He had long hair, long nails, wrinkled cheeks. His whole body had become completely weak and skinny. And so Muni was also very expert in chanting mantras. And he would chant mantras very purely. So the king saw this sage come to his palace. And the king said, Prabhupada Muni said, I would like to marry one of your daughters. The king had 3 daughters and 3 sons. So he approached. He said, I'd like to marry one of your daughters. And the king said, he saw the Muni was so ugly, and no one would even come near him. So he very diplomatically said, oh, I can't force my daughter to marry you. If you want to marry you, I have no objection, but I can't force her. So Swami Muni was not a fool. He was very expert in chanting mantras. He knew how to chant the mantras with the right meter and so on. So Swami Muni said, I know why the king does not want to give me a bride. Why? Because I'm ugly. Naturally I was underwater from meditation. So he said, I know why the king did not offer his daughter to me. No one of his daughters, because of this, my ugliness. I am going to become so handsome, so beautiful by chanting these mantras that even the celestial planets, just living in celestial planets, would aspire to marry me. And he was a powerful yogi. Hard to say it. He was a powerful yogi. He could chant me very powerful, mantras very powerfully. So Savari Muni chanted mantras, by his chanting the mantras, he became very handsome. Like these days, you go to beauty saloons. Maybe you may be an old man with wrinkled cheeks and whatnot. But if you go to the beauty saloon, they'll do such nice makeup on you that you won't even notice it. Now they have their, in the Western society, they have funeral homes where they take the body and decorate the body. You look very beautiful. So a lot of people spend money just to look beautiful and badhiya. So Savari Muni, he, by chanting mantras, became very handsome young man. And he became a very handsome young man. And he went to the palace where the queens were residing. Savari Muni went to the palace where the queens were residing. And when Savari Muni entered that palace, in which his 50 daughters resided, Savari Muni saw Savari Muni become so handsome, so beautiful, so attractive. All the sisters started fighting. The sisters started saying, I selected him first. And the other sisters would say, no, I selected him before you. So the 50 sisters were just fighting. What did Savari do? Savari Muni engaged. And by chanting mantras, he had created very opulent palaces. Very opulent palaces. So Savari Muni not only made himself very handsome, he also created palaces and he became very, very handsome. So Savari Muni saw that the 50 sisters were fighting as to whose husband he should be. He said, I'll marry all of you. So he married all the sisters. And by his austerity, he created such a beautiful palace that when the king came to see that palace, he was surprised because the king had a palace, Savari Muni's palace, created by the chanting of mantra, was even more attractive. So Savari Muni married all 50 sisters. He had 100 children whom he wife. So within no time, his family expanded. His family expanded to 500 wives, 5,000 children. And he gave each of them a very royal environment to live in. So Savari Muni, who got all these facilities, Savari Muni noticed that even though he has all the facilities, even though he has the power to become handsome, rich, he was still dissatisfied. He wasn't satisfied because he had a carte blanche. He created such a beautiful environment. He had a very beautiful palace to live in, and his wives were also beautiful. So Savari Muni realized I left my meditation to pursue the path of sense enjoyment, and I got sense enjoyment. I got the opportunity for sense enjoyment. Still I'm not happy. He had absolute powers. He was such an expert chanter mantras that he got 50 palaces made by just by chanting mantras. He realized that I have made a mistake. I should not have done this mistake. So he decided, I'll go and perform deep meditation underwater like I used to do it before. The wives saw Savaya Muni is now desirous of pursuing the Vedic path. And Savaya Muni said, I've wasted enough time. I could not satisfy my senses, even though I had all the facilities. And he said, now we'll go back and start performing meditation. When he started performing meditation, the wife said, we should also follow our husband. The husband was not satisfied, did not satisfy himself. And the wife also followed the husband, and they all achieved perfection. Now, from this story, these are not mythological stories. This is not fiction. Sometimes people say, everything you read in the Vedas is mythology. It is imaginative. But that is not true. During the British rule, they had British scholars perfected the knowledge of Sanskrit. They translated these books, the Vedas, and they presented it from the angle, this is all mythology. The Muslims are more blunt. They destroyed the Hindu temple. The Britishers are more diplomatic. They're very systematic. They try to show the Vedas present mythology. Actually, Vedas present true spiritual knowledge. So Savaya Muni went back to the forest to perform deep meditation. In the Bhagavatam we see there are other stories also. King Yayati, you read in his story that he had a facility for 10,000 years to practice austerity. And what was the result? He could not satisfy himself. So, last time I read are three pathways leading to hell. And lust is a powerful enemy. Arjuna said, Krishna, please instruct how, in spite of our having knowledge, what's right, what's wrong, we still get directed to what is wrong. What is the reason? What did Krishna say? What did Krishna say was the reason? Kama is what is it? Rajagata. It is lust only, the all-devouring enemy of the living entity, is always burning like fire. It never saturated. So through the pages of the Bhagavatam, we get exposed to so many different stories, but they have one purpose. That is, you can never satisfy your material senses, material endeavors, and you can satisfy your senses. How? By engaging in service to the Supreme Lord. Sarvapadi muktam, tatvayanam, bhakti-yoga. The senses can only be satisfied if you engage them in spiritual activity. Now, the acharyas have explained why Savaya Muni got diverted from his meditation. Savaya Muni was in meditation, deep underwater, and he still got deviated. Why did that happen? This was the effect of offenses. Therefore, Prabhupada says, avoid offending any Vaishnava. Subhari Muni had offended and it was Guruda, the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu. Guruda is the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu. And Guruda is entitled to eat fish. For us, eating fish is not desirable. For Guruda, the bird carrier of the Lord, eating fish is something natural. And what did Subhari Muni do? He Guruda wanted to eat a particular fish. And what did Subhari Muni do? He hid it, he gave protection to that fish that Guruda could not eat that fish. For us to eat a fish is sinful. For Guruda to eat a fish, very normal. Prabhupada explains we should avoid offenses. We should avoid offending a Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the process of devotional service. Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami explain how Brahmana Prabhita Kona Bhagavaji, Guru Krishna Kripa, how we're going through so many persons that you need the fortunate soul who receives what? The seed of bhakti. The seed of bhakti means knowledge that bhakti-yoga is the best alternative. Bhakti-yoga is the only solution. And you get this knowledge. But then you get the seed of devotional service. Then you want the seed to grow. How does the seed grow?
Hearing and chanting.
By
Hearing and chanting.
hearing chanting. This is compared to watering the seed. You may have a very beautiful garden, but if you don't water the plants properly, you will not fructify. So this, just getting knowledge, the bhakti is the ultimate solution, is not the end of the world. That's only the beginning. Just like when we go out and distribute books, we've given someone a book, the spiritual life begins with that. But then he has to read it to get full advantage of it. So, getting knowledge is good. Then you do water the seed. Water the seed of devotion. That is known as Sharanam. There are different stages of chanting the holy name. You have the offensive stage, the stage of minimizing offenses, and the purified stage. In the beginning, you just ask people to chant. You don't give them a whole presentation. And then as they chant, they discover, oh, there's some more guidelines that we have to follow. Just like Prabhupada, when he opened the first temple in New York, he just told the devotees, just chant. He didn't give them any rigid rules or anything. One day, the devotees reciting there came up to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, don't you want us to follow some rules and regulations? And Swamiji said, this is what I was waiting for. You would come and ask him. So, the seed of devotion service grows through the process of Sharanam Kirtana. And then, it is said that we should stay in devotee association. Devotee association is highly recommended. One may have the spiritual knowledge, but still you need devotee association to practice devotional service. And we can associate with those who are more advanced, those who are equally advanced, and those who are less advanced. We behave differently in different situations. When you meet somebody more advanced. And what do? You're joyful. Why? Because you're going to get some knowledge. It will help you to make spiritual progress. You meet somebody equally advanced. What do?
Friendship.
What do?
Friendship.
What's the answer?
You make friends.
You make friendship. Friendship and spiritual life means we work together to spread the mission of the Lord. That is very necessary. Prabhupada used to say, united we stand and divided we fall. Can't compete with the bell. So Nanda Muni explains that when you meet somebody equally advanced, what do? Make friendship. Friendship and spiritual life means we work together to push Srila Prabhupada's movement. And when you meet somebody less advanced, then what do?
Show compassion.
Show compassion. Showing compassion means giving them the knowledge. In the Purva, Prabhupada said, our compassion should be consistent with the compassion of the Lord. In other words, sentimentally you may think, oh, I should do something. But there is a difference between spiritual compassion and mutual compassion. When Prabhupada says in the Prabhupada, so our compassion should be consistent with the compassion of the Lord. In other words, our compassion should be for a spiritual cause, to enlighten, to give people knowledge of where they can make spiritual advance. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that the seed of devotional service grows when you water it, and in order to ensure that unwanted animals won't come inside, you should stay in the association of devotees. By staying in devotee association, you're constantly reminded about the purpose of the human life, about the importance of devotional service. So this seed of devotional grows in associate. And then Lord Chaitanya said, sometimes you have unwanted weeds that also grow side by side. What do you do to these unwanted weeds?
Cut down.
You cut them. In other words, the help of devotees, what do? You eliminate them. Once you identify the disease, then you want to cure the disease. By being in devotee association, you can identify what the problem is. And you can also cure that problem. Many times, so we stay in devotee. Many times if someone says something, we don't like it, we get bitter. But in spiritual sadhu sangha, we associate. Why? We associate, we take part in, and this beautiful devotional garden gets ruined. And what happens? When we commit Vaishnava prana. So, over here we saw that Guruda had committed Vaishnava prana also. Guruda is guiding, guiding how we should execute devotional service. So, the point is, we should employ Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya, very compassionate, merciful to everyone. He showed us the importance of avoiding Vaishnava. The Lord was very kind to everyone, but he was a little angry with his mother. And the Buddha would say, my Lord, you're being merciful to everyone. why aren't you being merciful to your mother? And what did he say? My mother had offended. And what was her offense? Nothing major. Just in her mind she thought that Advaitacharya, the duplicitous-minded person, he influenced my older son to leave home. That was influencing my younger son also. And that was the anger. And when devotees would go to such a mother and say, the Lord said that you have offended. And she would say, how is it possible? And once when Sri Sanjay Mata was offering obeisance, Advaitacharya was offering obeisance, she came from behind, took the dust, and applied it on her foot. So Lord Chaitanya gave us this extreme example to show that this Vaishnava Prabhupada is so powerful. We should be very careful. So Garuda committed an offense also. He gave protection to the fish. And so on the spiritual path, what do? We avoid the offenses. And the Lord's pastime is so powerful. When you're reading these pastimes, you get purified. So Prabhupada gave us the Krishna book, which is a very scientific presentation. We got a story from Vrindavan. After Prabhupada had gone to New York, he wanted to get a Krishna book published, and he wanted a high-class presentation or something like that. At that time the movement was young, and funds were also limited. At that time, the devotees had started preaching in England, and Shyam Sundar had come from England. We gave Prabhupada a report on the progress. Prabhupada was very impressed by the progress, by the efforts of the disciples. So Prabhupada, after he heard the report, he said, why don't you ask George to print this Krishna book? And Professor Sandana said, Papa is a real devotee. If we approach him for this now, he will lose faith. And Papa said, no, we can try. So he went back to England, and there he approached George and said, my special one master wants you to publish this book. And he agreed instantly. So Papa wanted to present the Krishna book in a very powerful presentation. And he wanted to present the passion of the Lord in a very genuine way. So we're reading the wonderful pastime of Krishna, killing the demons. And these demons that we read about, they're also devotees of the Lord. The Lord usually desires to perform these pastimes at home and is devotee. Just like when the Kumar came to the spiritual planet and they were stopped at the seventh gate by the doorkeeper. The doorkeeper said, you naked children, you can't go inside. They were very angry. They said, you are not fit to be here. We were getting so much happiness. You stopped that. So the dialogue. And they cursed the doorkeeper. The Lord heard the dialogue. When the Lord came out, the Kumara saw that he's very friendly, intimate with the doorkeeper. So they concluded, we made a mistake. we made a mistake in cursing them, and they wanted to withdraw the curse.